Hello there and welcome back to Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show where your favorite nerds bring you all the news and commentary from the galaxy far, far away. I am your host, Jared the Dark Jedi Bachman Stubbs. Joining me in studio is the professor and favorite Gungan Sith Lord Levi Baum.
Hello, boys. Hello.
We better get like a very big Oyo Boyos in the near future now that there's a camera. Like, I'm talking one of like the obnoxious, over-the-top Oyo Boyos.
I thought I did one for my first visual appearance. Was that not good enough for you?
You were... I don't think you did a big one on Knights last week. That would have been your first on camera.
Also with us is... which one are we introducing first?
We have the Lord Keeper, Connor Chikiti.
Hello there, everyone. I hope you all have had a fantastic week and a pretty solid start to your weekend. On the eve of Super Bowl Sunday, we're here talking about Star Wars. And hopefully, to kill some time, you all are listening to us talk about Star Wars and the topic for today.
A very fun one. It's been way too long since we did a topic episode. And we have... all the way from the Outer Rim, we got the Mando, Spencer Simpson.
Hey, everybody. It is good to be back on the show after I got back to school. It was bittersweet. It's bittersweet. I missed recording with you guys in the studio, for sure. So it's good to be back on the show at least and ready to dive into a very interesting topic episode.
Yes, indeed. And before we jump into today's topic, we do want to say we are a part of the Star Wars Podcast Day initiative happening. So along with us are going to be countless other shows that are all doing a special episode today. So be sure to go check out all the other shows that are involved with the proceedings today. There are too many
There's
to
a
just...
lot of them.
There's a lot of them. So if you got to us, thank you for checking us out. Mm-hmm. And be sure to go check out the other shows. Slightly connected to that, because I know the Star Wars in a Galaxy podcast is involved. Be sure to check out the Star Wars Trivia Force Down. It is a new Star Wars trivia fan league based off of the Schmodown, obviously. All the trivia is Star Wars focused. Instead of just movies, it does include the TV shows and Mando in particular. So it's Clone Wars, Rebels, and Mando, along with all the other movies. My first match actually is happening today when you're hearing this, tomorrow at record, and should be up on the same day. And it is against Eli from In a Galaxy. So go check that out. And another fun little nugget here is that Spencer and I are going in the teams division. Woo! So go check all that out. Come support. Support a fun trivia league as well. Like, that's fun on its own. But come support your favorite Star Wars podcasters while we rip through the division. Hopefully, we'll see. But first match for me, like I said.
What if their favorite Star Wars podcasters win?
Then we'll celebrate.
Good answer.
So yeah, stay tuned to all of that. Check out the Force Down. Check out all the Star Wars Podcast Day stuff. Check everybody out doing the things. But before you check everybody else out, stick around today, because we have a very fun topic for this week's episode. We are doing our favorite Star Wars what if scenarios.
Ooh.
Star Wars is unique. Not necessarily unique, but there is a certain uniqueness to Star Wars in how set in stone the timeline is. Compared to most other fandoms and franchises, especially sci-fi stuff, even though it's sci-fi fantasy, there typically end up being multiple different timelines, multiple different continuities. Star Wars, miraculously, despite the massive amount of content, only really has two distinct timelines. What we are going to do here is play around with some very fun alterations to said timeline And if we can mine enough conversation from this, maybe we'll do a part 2 at some point. We'll see. But
They're making fan fictions.
we're essentially doing some like aggressively. We're doing like fanfic outlines essentially today.
Yep.
So enjoy it if that's if that's your style. Hell yeah! If it's not, we'll change your mind. With that, Levi, I give you the floor because you said you came locked and loaded with 2.
Yeah. It might be similar. You ready for
I'm
this?
ready for it. Hit
Ready
me.
for this? What if Jar Jar Binks was a Sith Lord?
I am going to say that we've made a lot of progress with Levi. That he entered that as a what if, and not as
What if
concrete
he was
fact.
kept as a canonical Sith
I'm
Lord?
gonna kill you slowly and painfully. So walk
I
us
think
through
it
this. Levi.
changes. I think it changes the very. I don't want to say the very fabric, but like a lot of the fabric of Star Wars, because now it's not Palpatine that orchestrated all of this. He only orchestrated a bit of it, and now it's Jar Jar that's the mastermind behind everything.
Yeah.
And
So,
Palpatine's just a pawn in his game.
well, not everything. I think it would be more along the lines of they're both smart, right? They're both masterminds. And I think it's going to be a very long cat and mouse chase where the cat and the mouse know each other and their role as cat and mouse switch depending on who has the upper hand, who gains the upper hand at any time. Meanwhile, they're both still trying to topple the Jedi and the Republic.
So
That would
okay.
be so interesting, right?
I'm going to get into the minutia here. So, and this is something that we've argued with a lot because of the Darth Binks shit. Again, take a look at the Knights of the Nerd Republic mural. Levi is a Gungan on it for a reason. So, was Jar Jar planted in the forests of Naboo, or was he like just doing his own Sith
Right?
thing?
Right?
And then went,
Yeah, that's what we have to think
this
about.
is clearly like, this is a Sith plot. I know what's going on here. And then became so invested in becoming a member of the Senate because he was like, I see what's going on here, Sidious. Like, you may have all of them fooled, but you did not pull the wool over my eyes. So,
Yeah, so that brings up another question. Are they working together? Are they both from the same Banian lineage of Sith? Or is there another sect of Sith? And Jar Jar just happens to be one of them. And that's the reason
I
he was
think-
banished from his city, from his own people. Because he's a freaking maniac.
and disguises it as clumsiness.
Yeah, I think Jar Jar would
Yeah.
be the type of character that would make his own Sith sect. I feel like he wouldn't work with Palpatine. And if he did, it would be very, very minimal. I have nothing to back that up. That's just pure speculation on my part as
He would be
related to
so-
this discussion.
Or maybe he's so enlightened in the dark way. Right? Like he's a really
And we
good
just
Sith
don't know
user,
it.
but he's just freaking evil. That like he can see that Palps is gonna F up. So he takes on that goofball persona as like a failsafe for when Palpatine inevitably fails. So then he can just rise up, Misa here, and he picks it up and runs with it.
Jesus. Okay. You okay?
Okay,
then-
I'm not going to lie. This is actually, because this is the first real, quote unquote, real Darth Binks theory I've heard, I'm kind of on board with it.
Oh, have you never read the original?
No, not I should.
You've never read the legendary Reddit post by Lumpawaru. It is like
No.
a thesis on just explaining how these small, stupid mistakes mistakes
I've
in
probably seen it.
episode 1 and a little bit of 2 and 3 show that Jar Jar Binks is like the most incredible Sith Lord to ever exist.
I do plan on doing a special episode dedicated to the Reddit post. So
It
we will like we will read it in its entirety.
someone spent time on it. Someone did that.
Levi, I love you.
It is so
Star Wars
amazing.
fans are a creative bunch.
Yeah. So, and then there's another thing. Let's say that with Jar Jar being a Sith, the events in the first 6 episodes just take place roughly the same. Is Jar Jar then the First Order leader instead of Snoke? I created Snoke.
I think that requires Palpatine to get into bed with Jar Jar at some point, though.
Maybe.
I think
Like not literally. Quit giggling. I didn't. I
because-
made Snoke. That's how. No, I was like this. We know that Palpatine is the one behind the First Order now.
But before that, it was, I feel something dark over there. Right?
That
And
was
here's
the
the
implication in Aftermath. That
Yeah.
Snoke was
and
its
yeah,
own
but
independent
I was
thing.
going to point that out, Jared. With Aftermath,
Uh-oh.
Connor, we
Hold
lost
on,
you.
Connor.
Jar Jar's a street clown. StreamYard's just
Right.
with my mic. And so I think it's in either the first one or in Empire's End where we find out Jar Jar's quote unquote fate per se. And that could be
he's
just
a-
another layer to his character playing the long game in this case. I like this.
being unsuspectable.
Yeah, we have 2 instances of Jar Jar like being a Jedi, right? In the episode Bombad Jedi, and then in the comics where he wields a lightsaber.
All of which are jokes.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
listen.
all
Listen.
for the
Listen.
bit.
That's what they want us to
Listen.
think.
Oh, God.
An idiot does not survive war. But Jar Jar
lucky idiot
survives
does.
war. Multiple
a very
times.
lucky idiot with plot armor survives a war.
I was to say, if you want to talk about idiots surviving war, there are too many history people in the room, as it were, right now, to not be bringing up Washington.
He
Like, remarkably bad at his job at
he
first.
sucks. He's not an idiot though.
Washington had half of what you need to be an effective commander. He was good with people and keeping the army together. He was bad with winning with it.
Right.
That's
He
fair.
had half of what he needed.
All right, so Levi, that's your
Yeah.
that's one of them, I assume.
That is
Do we
one of
have-
them.
Do we have another one?
Yeah. And might be similar. I don't know. What if Obi-Wan never killed Maul the first time?
So are we saying what if Maul like won that fight, or what if they like took him prisoner?
Damn it, you
No,
stole
what
you
if
stole
what if
one of
Maul
mine.
Like
escaped?
he just got away. Like
Yeah,
the fight ends
he
and
got
he just
away from
split.
Naboo. Maybe donkey kicked Obi-Wan into the circle, but Obi-Wan wasn't able to like jump back up in time to catch Maul.
So Maul just GTFO. Qui-Gon's still dead.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's alive.
Mhm.
Okay.
So is the implication there that Maul survives and Sidious doesn't take a new apprentice, and Maul just kind of like
yes.
Maul is the secondary throughout the whole Clone War?
Yeah, because
I think
by the time of that
would be
battle,
dangerous.
Maul or Sidious has already killed Plagueis.
Yeah, that would be dangerous because, like, based on what we see out of Maul in the later part of Clone Wars, Like he would have been really scary under long-term tutelage.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would have seen lightning from Maul, and it would have been scary, very scary.
So here's what I think is interesting about that personally. I really, really would like to know where Dooku fits into this narrative now.
That was another point I was going to bring up.
Because in canon, Dooku leaves before the Naboo crisis.
Mm.
It is not the whole like Qui-Gon dies, he blames the council and is just so furious with the concept of the Jedi that he has to bow out. At this point, he's just had enough of the Jedi already
Yeah.
and walks. So at this point, I don't think Dooku would have become one of Sidious's allies.
No, me neither.
I
think
don't-
in this case,
I think without being courted by Sidious, I don't see Dooku turning to the dark side.
Mm.
And
I see him. I can see him turn into the dark side, but not necessarily going towards the Sith ideology.
so he
I feel
might
like
just be a
Dooku-
dark Jedi and not Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah, I think Dooku is intelligent enough and just cunning enough to make up his own sect per se of Force users.
Mm.
Oh,
I think he could. I think he probably would do that. I don't know how that would play out in the long game. I imagine he would still be killed. So then this means attack of the. Oh my god! Wow.
I'll say this much. I think that you create a much better let's cut your teeth on cold-blooded murder person than Dooku and Maul for Anakin. I think that Maul, and again, and one of the other things I think is very important with this conversation is that Maul, before his injury on Naboo, and Maul after his injury on Naboo, are two different people as far as mentality towards combat is concerned. And just in general. Like, he is a very cold and calculating and, ice cold blood type guy before the events of the Phantom Menace. When he's cut in half and then comes back, he's just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
He's just unhinged.
But still smart.
He's brilliant. And
Yeah.
he's still very cunning. But there is a bloodlust that overtakes his ability to methodically be the guy in control. Like, he loses that almost Batmanish tactician edge he had. And it becomes, I just want to hurt you with Obi-Wan and with the galaxy at large. So I think having Maul remain very subservient to Sidious. And because of that subservient nature, I don't think we'll ever have a situation like Dooku where Dooku was training Ventress as an apprentice. Like, Dooku was giving Ventress the Galen Merrick treatment of,
Yeah.
you're my student, and maybe sort of kind of one day we'll get rid of the other guy. And I do believe that was Dooku's intent. I don't think Maul's ever going to try anything like that. So there will never be a challenge to the rule of two with Maul, in my opinion. So I think that forcing Anakin to up his game and up his skill and up his capacity as a warrior to be able to go toe-to-toe with Maul and defeat Maul.
A fully trained Maul.
A fully trained, fully realized, has had more time to marinate with Sidious's brand of the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that all of that considered, forcing Anakin to be that much better to handle him, and also the vendetta Anakin will have against him. Because that's the man who killed Qui-Gon Jinn.
Right.
It's still the man who killed Qui-Gon. And Spencer, whenever we first did Anakin versus Maul for the Versus series, I said this 1,000 times. This is the matchup that should have happened in Clone Wars. The fact that we never get to see Maul and Anakin duke it out,
Yeah.
with the like initial conceit being, you killed Qui-Gon, I'm going to put your head on the floor.
Yeah.
And that, you know, Anakin's aggressive need to avenge the world.
Mm-hmm.
That innate need for revenge against Maul, that's all even better of a way to just shove Anakin over the line. And I also like that how many of these are going to affect how and when Anakin is turned to the dark side. I'm curious of, because that's the moment. Like that's the flashpoint of the
Here's
galaxy.
another question. Would the Clone Wars have to last longer in order for Anakin to get stronger?
I think that is completely dependent on like Maul's skill curve. Because the objective is to have Anakin kill that apprentice. Like that's
Right,
the final
exactly.
test is
Yeah.
can you replace him?
Yeah.
And I think that Dooku's easier for Anakin to replace because of, and you know, Spencer, we're going to keep referencing the Versus series like this entire episode, is that Anakin and Dooku, there's like a rock, paper, scissors to them.
Mm-hmm.
That the technical element of their fighting styles, once Anakin gets to his zenith, and Dooku, who has passed his zenith but is still, in my opinion, on a technical level, probably the best duelist in the galaxy at that point, where Anakin on a this is the martial art I use and Dooku on a this is the martial art I use level, Anakin beats Dooku every time. Once Anakin reaches a certain level of skill, coupled with his youth, coupled with his strength, coupled with Dooku's age, coupled with, again, that rock, paper, scissors,
Right,
Gemso
right.
beats Makashi. And Dooku's an easier kill for Anakin
Yeah.
by that time.
Yeah.
I think Maul creates a situation where Anakin is in more danger, and does push Anakin further and further and further. Whether or not I think Palpatine would put himself in a position where he might have to compromise his plans by letting this shit go on longer, that's another conversation. I don't think in canon the Jedi are as close to figuring out what's going on as they were in Legends. Like we talk all the time about Labyrinth of Evil and how hilarious the plot of that book is if you think about it for too long. It's a good book. It's phenomenal. But the fact that the whole book comes down to Palpatine needed the Battle of Coruscant to happen because Newt Gunray fucked up is amazing. And is still my favorite.
great.
Like, the Dark Lord trilogy is like accidentally hilarious when you think about it for too long.
It's got to be a feature episode on the Sithcom.
Yeah. I love the sitcom.
So
Yes,
I
Connor.
want to take this a step further because this was related to just one of the theories I wrote down that I was going to probably present, but not really. What if Maul kills Obi-Wan? And this can apply to both Phantom Menace and Rebels.
If okay, I want to come back to that, Connor. I want to come back to like to you because I want to dedicate like a whole section of conversation. I don't think that's like a
I
quickie.
think there are two options for that.
I think we're on the
Jedi
same-
would take him in because he's got nowhere else to go, or Maul picks him up and he gets trained with revenge on his mind the whole time.
I want to get back to that because I want to dedicate an entire chunk now to that
Yeah.
that prospect. So yeah, in short, I think that
Because
I'm gonna-
Spencer's absolutely right.
yeah.
Right? Maul has potential out the ass. And if he gets fully trained, this was even true in Legends. If he had gotten the proper training, Maul is a monster.
I
Right.
honestly don't
Like
even
a
think
force of nature.
I honestly don't even think it's a matter of training. I think it's a matter of Maul's arrogance. I think Maul needed to grow up a little bit more. Because we see in canon, there is nobody in the galaxy Maul thinks is cooler than Maul. Like Maul holds himself in a very high regard. That
he
is
thinks
wh-
Palpatine is cooler.
he serves Palpatine, but Maul's like, I am the Sith. He's like, I am like my master's goal is to bring about the resurrection of the Sith. I am integral to that. I am this force of nature. Maul believes his hype too much. And I think that's his fatal flaw. And I think that's why his defeat on Naboo is so traumatic for him.
He's like the Vegeta of Star Wars.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. Yo, that's exactly it though. That's exactly that mentality of like, I am king shit. Like even in Legends, Maul's like fantasized, like before the events of Phantom, like leading up to the events of the Phantom Menace, Maul is fantasizing fighting members of the Jedi Council. Like there's direct inner monologue of him like, Plo Koon, bring it. Of him just of him mentally like naming the council and going, can kill him, can kill him, can kill him, can kill him, can kill him. Just completely believing his own hype. So I think if Maul grows up and recognizes it is 100% possible for me to lose in a fight, and maybe even takes what happens with Obi-Wan as that example and goes, he could have killed me.
Yeah.
If this went on a little too longer, he would have killed me. And grows up from that, I think you're dealing with a massive threat. One that, like we said, will make Anakin push himself because that instead of it being Count Dooku, you're a traitor to the Order and you took my arm and you've caused this war, it's you're a traitor to the Order. Let's say Anakin still loses his arm on Geonosis, but to Maul now, you started this war, you took my arm, you've killed all these Jedi, and in particular, you're the bastard who killed Qui-Gon. And I think I think it will even affect Anakin's training under Obi-Wan. I think Obi-Wan, there's a part of his brain that can't let go what happened. I think there's a part of Obi-Wan's brain that is not only still blaming himself for what happened, but is still upset because he never got Maul.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that like Obi-Wan's quote unquote killing of Maul on Naboo gave him like the closure enough to go, what happened sucked. I miss Qui-Gon. We need to move on. I think if Maul gets away, Obi-Wan never is able to move on, is never able to truly let go of what happened that day.
That's fair.
So I think
that makes sense.
so I think like the quote unquote consummate Jedi that is Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Doesn't exist.
I think he's a different man. I don't think on a level of like he's more aggressive or he's more like Anakin necessarily. But I think Obi-Wan, like up to the Clone Wars, is still carrying the burden of I'm the man who let Qui-Gon die. And I think that will also affect his relationship with Anakin even more. That there will now be a part of Anakin that because Maul has not quote unquote died, there will be a part of Anakin that will resent Obi-Wan for not saving Qui-Gon. Or at the very least not avenging him. So like now there's an even bigger divide between Obi-Wan and Anakin too.
You don't think it would bring them together more?
I don't see Obi-Wan long term wanting revenge against Maul. I just see him more blaming himself for what happened. Anakin's going to want revenge, and the way that's going to manifest is Obi-Wan going, "Damn, I wish I could have saved him," and Anakin going, "I'm going to avenge him and clean up the mess you left." And I think
Okay,
that
yeah,
puts
I
a
can see that.
huge wedge between them. Way bigger than anything Dooku ever could have done. Because like they bond over disliking Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Like, I think Obi-Wan looks at Dooku as like, you're a disgrace against Qui-Gon's legacy. Like you are actually a disgrace to Qui-Gon. And Anakin hates him for the reasons I said earlier. He's a traitor. All the Jedi whose deaths are at his hands, indirectly or directly, because of the war, and he took his arm. Like, between those reasons, like, they both live to shit on Dooku. We see it in the Dooku Captured episode where Obi-Wan and Anakin are doing
The back and forth action. Just
yeah.
with him in the room.
That's in Clone Wars, yeah.
Yeah, so Anakin, please try to control your insolence. Like, it's hilarious. I
What
love
is
it.
it? Like, try to control your insolence.
You're distracted.
The count is thinking, or something like that. The
Yeah,
count
yeah.
is pondering.
It's all great, and all that said, I don't see Obi-Wan and Anakin being able to like bond over Maul. Like with Dooku, it's like, hey, this Dooku guy's an asshole. Like we both dislike him.
You just reminded me of a fun episode.
I recently
I
watched.
love that one.
I rewatching Clone Wars, getting Kira into it has been an experience because I forgot the gold mine of Obi-Wan and Anakin material that is
Oh,
the Dooku
yeah.
Captured
Oh
arc.
my god.
Up to and including the when do I get to make the plan? When you're a master. When do I get to be a master? When you make the plans. When do I get to make the
Well, at
plans and
least
be
you're
a
a
master
master.
while I'm being captured? Well, at least you're a master of being captured.
Hot.
And we wonder why he killed all of them. But anyway,
Even Dooku had a few good lines in that one.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
When he was just knocking the pirates.
oh yeah, making fun of the
They
that
are
that shit was
ugly,
great.
dirty, and most importantly, stupid.
The most
Beautiful.
importantly, stupid is probably my favorite. All right, any final thoughts on Maul surviving the events of Phantom Menace, or Maul escaping
That's
the
all
events
I
of Phantom
got.
Menace?
No final.
Yeah, I've got
thoughts.
nothing else.
All right,
Nope, I think you guys
Some good
pretty
conjecture.
much.
Yeah, I just think Maul will be more powerful. It's gonna take longer for Anakin to kill the apprentice because he has to be stronger than a fully realized Maul. And not so right in the head Obi-Wan, really not right in the head Anakin. Yeah, maybe a few more on the council are dead before Order 66. Even.
I will. Okay,
I think that could happen. I think that's
I think
if
Maul's
Savage
fantasies.
Opress can headbutt Adi Gallia to death, I'm pretty sure Maul can kill a few council members with his stick.
I'm not going to say I necessarily think this is the case, but I think an argument can be made that if the whole point of the Clone Wars at that point becomes making Anakin good enough to take on Maul, he might even win on Mustafar.
Ooh. So no Obi-Wan Kenobi to raise Luke. So what happens in the original trilogy?
Luke and Leia are raised as Inquisitors.
Ooh. So the Sith win?
Pretty much.
If Maul lives,
The Sith win.
the Sith
Pretty much.
do win.
Yep, we figured it out, guys.
Oh, wow.
Yoda's
Hey, I
Yoda
came with a
probably
couple
dies.
good what ifs, didn't I?
See, here's the beauty of the Duel of the Fates. It lives up to the name. And I've been saying this for years, and there was that amazing clip in like the Star Wars Galleries thing of Dave Filoni.
oh my god.
Like literally the entire fate of the galaxy rests in this fight. Every outcome results in a completely different franchise. Every single outcome, like Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan survives, Maul is defeated, is what, okay, that's one outcome. We get Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon both live and Maul is defeated. Completely different outcome.
Yeah.
Every time, like, you stack another caveat onto that fight and somebody else dies,
Yeah.
different
Like
outcome for the whole franchise.
Obi-Wan, like let's say Obi-Wan dies, Qui-Gon lives, he defeats Maul. Like that changes everything. Maul
Anakin
lives.
might never turn to the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my what ifs, and
Oh,
pretty
sorry.
much Dave Filoni confirmed that.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
he pretty much confirmed, like, he all but like outright said this is what would happen. But in that gallery, he does say, like, pretty much if Qui-Gon lives, Anakin doesn't turn.
Absolutely.
So
I agree with that
Well.
100%. And that's definitely one I really want to get into and dissect.
so then
Sorry.
does Anakin then still bring balance in this world where the Sith win absolutely? Is there ever a point where Vader will overthrow Palpatine on his own?
The prophecy.
Or
As
does another
writ-
chosen one get
So the
created?
this is one of the things I love and hate about the new canon. I love that we have a concrete definition as to what the chosen one prophecy is. And it is very, very clearly referring to Anakin Skywalker.
Okay.
Like, in no uncertain terms, like a boy born of the Force to a virgin mother. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. It is Anakin.
Okay.
I don't think the prophecy is fulfilled. I don't. Maybe in some weird way, there's an event that happens where Vader is responsible for the destruction of the Sith. And again, this is also another conversation that begs the definition of balance, how there's kind of like two versions of balance. There will always be evil in the universe. However, the Sith and their existence inherently throws the Force out of balance because their entire philosophy is predicated on disrupting the currents of nature as it is. So maybe through some weird way, Vader accidentally fulfills the prophecy, be it through dismantling the Sith in the name of the supremacy of the Skywalker family,
Yeah.
or he still has a face turn. I don't know. But if Luke is already lost in the dark with him, I don't see there being any need for him to become Anakin Skywalker again. So at most, it might be the dark side craving for power
Well,
that
if he learns that they are his children.
he would already know. That's the thing, is that like he already knows Padme's pregnant. If he kills Obi-Wan, he's able to get to Padme and make sure that she gives birth. And as much as I hate to say it, and, you know, as kind of flawed as, you know, this part of the story is with how Padme's framed, whether or not Padme survives at this point is a moot point. Once he's turned, either Vader and Vader / Anakin stays on the dark side because he can consolidate power, and that's just who he is. That in the absence of any meaning, Anakin grabs on the power. Padme dies, he stays a Sith and consolidates power. Padme survives. He's still given everything to Palpatine and has a debt to keep paying because Palpatine helped him save Padme at that point. Either way, he's locked into the dark side.
But not to Palpatine.
I think it would be unless he decided to kill him at some point. And again, I think that would only be in the name of, you know, the galaxy belongs to the, you know, Nabiri Skywalker line, not you. I think that's the only real outcome where Vader kills the Sith. I don't see him turning back. Like, again, he has his kids. He may or may not have his wife. You know, I think that some type of Jedi rebellion will be happening. I think if Padme survives, she might leave Anakin. You know, I think that she might stick to her guns if, like, you're going down a path I can't follow. Maybe she tries to bring the kids back. I don't know how successful any of that will be, though. There's a lot of that is predicated on how much of Vader's commitment to the dark side is predicated on how he lost everything. and how much of that is just Anakin being swallowed up by his own lust for power.
All right, but he doesn't lose everything if his children survive.
Exactly.
And he knows that the children are alive.
Yes. I think he'd
Yeah.
keep them with him. That's what I'm saying, is that like without Obi-Wan to get to Padme to get her to Polis Massa to give birth. Like if Anakin is present for the birth of Luke and Leia and he wins and he's on the dark side still, those children have become servants for Palpatine. Because if Anakin's in the room, he's like we have the children of the Chosen One now consigned to the dark side forever. I really think this, like the scenario you created, the bad guys win.
All right, let's move on.
All right, Spencer. I know yours, so I think it'll be a much needed highlight here, and kind of the inverse of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, so coincidentally, a lot of our what ifs have to do with the beloved character Maul.
Because it's all about that flashpoint. It's all about the Duel of the Fates. It's all starts there.
Yeah. And this is one that Jared and I have tossed around for years now, and like just kind of trying to figure out how exactly this would work. But I would love to see I wouldn't. I mean, it would be interesting to see, but I like Maul as he is canonically. But it would be interesting to see a Maul redemption arc where, at some point, probably post Order 66, he kind of falls in coincidentally with a group of Jedi. Jared, did we say specifically who we thought would be the likely band for him to fall in with?
I stand
at this
by.
point, it would probably be Phoenix Squad, but
I think the most interesting way to do this, especially with like proximity to the rest of the timeline, is twin sons ending with Obi-Wan not killing him. I think Obi-Wan sparing his life and going, look at the both of us. You said it yourself. I'm a rat in the desert. You are still feral, trying to kill me for stopping you from being a pawn. Get it together, shithead. Like, we're on the same team at this point, you moron. Like, what are you fighting for at this point?
Right.
And I think that kind of like bonked to the head at that point for Maul, because he has nothing other than killing Obi-Wan. And I think Obi-Wan even looking at him and saying out loud, what do you get from killing me? And making it about Palpatine. I think Maul would kind of be like, you know what? And again, this is kind of like the conversation we keep having about Boba Fett now because of The Mandalorian, where it's like, is he a good guy necessarily now? Debatable. Probably not. Does Maul have a bone to pick with the worst guys, though? Yes. And through that, and because of just how the Force works, I think that Maul not actively trying to, be a villain, the light side is going to kind of start to seep into him. And the one thing that I know Spencer and you and I have talked about before, you end up with a version of Maul that wants to A, join the Rebel Alliance, B, they could greatly use a Force wielder, C, Maul probably ends up serving on Scarif.
Yeah.
And that fight is very different now for the Rebels.
Huh.
Not to mention seeing character development as Maul possibly becomes apologetic for what happened on Naboo.
I think he eventually would. I think eventually he would.
He would. Eventually, yeah. And watching that unfold, how does he come to terms with what he did to Qui-Gon? And is he how does his remorse manifest itself? Does he that we threw around the idea of some kind like a infiltration, kind of like a small incursion on Coruscant into like the Jedi Temple, and like him finding the memorial for Qui-Gon, like just having a minute there, and like that would be interesting. We maybe even don't even have to see it. It could just be like a Maul. Where have you been? He said, I was visiting an old friend. Or something like it could be anything. And just seeing like an interesting closure to the death of Qui-Gon and Maul trying to make it right, not just for himself, but for Qui-Gon's sacrifice too. That would be an interesting element of motivation for him.
Vader would be pissed off.
He would be pissed off, but like having that guilt on his conscience, like I definitely see Maul in this scenario making the sacrificial death move. You know, like like him being the only one who doesn't make it out. You know, and recompense a Sithment. I learned that one from the Netflix movie about the Oxford English Dictionary. But like having that penance, you know, giving his life to save the cause that he disrupted in the first place by taking Qui-Gon's. You know, that would be an interesting move for Maul's character.
I think conversely, so two things. One, I think the place where you put Maul's sacrifice, he lets the rebels get away in the hallway with Vader.
Vader is very pissed off that Maul of all people gets to have a redemption, gets to be a light side Jedi when Vader is stuck with Palpatine as a slave to the dark side. Vader will do like too hot for TV things to Maul's body in that hallway.
I think here two ideas here. Maul sacrifices himself to guarantee the survival of the rebellion and the securing of the Death Star plans, or conversely, Maul survives Scarif. And when Obi-Wan gives his life aboard the Death Star, knows one of the most skilled and talented warriors in the galaxy is now open and available to train Luke. And the amazing character beat and the amazing moment for all of these characters, again, assuming the timeline culminates in Obi-Wan talking Maul down, Maul joining the rebellion. And again, Maul was like caught on to like, you're protecting the chosen one, or what they thought Luke was the chosen one. So to have that all come full circle and Obi-Wan saying to Luke, where he's like, hey, when you get to the rebel base, there's a guy named Maul. He's a friend of mine. He knows this stuff too. He'll be able to help you out. Having Luke show up to Yavin, and again, we don't necessarily need to see that conversation, because having Luke walk up to Maul and say, Obi-Wan told me you guys were pals. He said you could train me.
Maul goes,
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, though, like in that same vein of like, yeah, Maul goes like, I'm the asshole in this situation. I think that like we're past the point of Maul going, I was the asshole here. I killed your surrogate father, Obi-Wan, and was like, you know, going to assassinate another head of state. Like, I may have been in the wrong when we first met. And I think that all culminating in Obi-Wan trusting Maul to help train Luke would really be amazing. And that said, oh my God, Luke trained by Maul is horrifying. Like that level of power. Like again, this is the child of the chosen one being trained by one of the deadliest warriors that the galaxy has ever seen. I don't know if in 3 years' time he's ready to face Vader on Bespin, But that fight does not end in Vader just finessing Luke at that point.
Does Maul then ever discover Yoda?
I think maybe. I think eventually maybe their paths cross. Spencer, what do you think on that?
I would say it's likely. I mean, Yoda, knowing Yoda, he's just like in his meditative mood, like waiting it out, because I'm sure Yoda knows that he's going to be needed to train the Anakin's kids eventually. So he's just kind of like hanging out, waiting, and Obi-Wan would know this. So like even if he entrusts Luke's training to Maul, Obi-Wan is going to be like, "Oh, you might want to confer with this other guy who's been waiting for 20 years to do this. That's like the only thing keeping him alive at this point. So you might want to just like give him a courtesy call."
Okay, so I take that and I raise you. Because we know, like, in canon, like, through the Force, Obi-Wan and Yoda stayed in contact.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I love the idea that at one point Obi-Wan, like, went to Force call Yoda and went, "You're not going to believe this shit." He's like, "Your bro. Yeah, you thought it was crazy when Maul came back." Wait, what if I told you this crazy bastard might be a Jedi now? And Yoda just, fucking kidding me, you must be. Like,
Funny jerk.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that like there would be like a collective
And then he just
training.
commits suicide.
No. I think Yoda would like probably give himself like an old man little space frog hernia from laughing. I think something that insane.
No,
the
fact that Yoda has been keeping himself alive for decades just to train a kid, and now he doesn't have to.
I think he doesn't. I think Yoda absolutely needs to. Maul can turn Luke into a warrior. Luke needs Yoda to give him that kind of reverence for the Force that he has. He still needs to be trained by Yoda. Maul just makes him a better warrior. That said, I still think Yoda, and it's like that John Mulaney joke where he's like talking about going to the doctor. He's like, adult life is already so goddamn weird. I think it's the same kind of thing that like Yoda would fall into. Where he's like, the galaxy, every horrible thing I never could have imagined has already happened. Of course, Maul's a Jedi now. Like, why wouldn't he be? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't Obi-Wan just accidentally talk some sense into him? Again, it's that sitcom style of like, Newt Gunray screwed the pooch and now we have to invade Coruscant. Kind of like A to B that happens of, well, I guess we caught Maul on a good day. Like, okay, cool. So yeah, I think there's part of this that's just inherently funny of just everybody accidentally ending up on the same team by the end.
Does Maul ever confront Yoda?
Yes, I think that they might. I think Luke's training might be twofold on Dagobah. That they're both training him on Dagobah.
Oh, and with Maul officially on the side of the rebels and helping the rebels, where does that place Ahsoka? Does any of that change?
Well, by this time Ahsoka would have been pronounced dead because of the events of Twilight of the Apprentice. So like we would have been well into the story of Star Wars Rebels by the time Maul has his face turned. So like maybe
because we don't know what happens with Ahsoka in the original trilogy. I don't think anything would change until we know like what specifically she did from 0 ABY to 5 ABY, which is then when once we find that out, this what if might slightly change. At least that aspect of it might change.
Yeah. Because like, and again, like if Maul turns sooner, like there's all kinds of different implications. I think it's most interesting here because like it changes less of the rebel stuff and mostly just becomes Luke is accidentally God tier out the gate now because he's getting the Force training from Yoda and the training on how to be a warrior from Maul. That I think that if like Maul's there, the initiative of, okay, Luke needs to go to Dagobah now happens sooner. I think that they both agree we need him to see Yoda quickly because we have a chance for this kid to just be a full-fledged Jedi master in no time. Or at least on that tier. That's my opinion. You guys might disagree. Spencer, you got anything else in the oven for us, what if wise, or is that your one?
No, that's my one good take. I spent it, so.
You have plenty of good takes.
Why, thank you.
Yes. All right, Connor, how many of these are related to Cal Kestis?
So I will preface this by saying 0.
Wow. Anybody
Because
who's
the-
discovering this podcast because of Star Wars Podcast Day, be aware there are 2 things you can bet on with this show. 1, Connor will make it about Jedi Fallen Order and or Cal Kestis. 2, I will make it about Ben Solo or Reylo. Moving on.
So I will preface by saying that the only Spencer, you've finished the game, right?
No, but I know all the spoilers. You can.
Okay. Well, the one what if that's even possible, I think, in Jedi Fallen Order is the end in what if Cal, doesn't destroy the holocron. The writers already did that. They basically just showed the writers of, Matt Magnovitz, Megan Fausti, Manny Hagopin, Chris Avallone, and the entire Respawn team and Lucasfilm just were like, let's create a what if and answer it in the same game. So there's really no point in making it that. I just have one sort of one really big one that I thought of, or at least 2, and then just a few just fun ones per se. The one I like the most that I thought of somehow is what if Vader was fully human, save for the right arm, and he doesn't have the suit.
He's a god. I'm not joking.
No, me neither.
Vader's a force god. He's unstoppable. Nothing can beat him.
I think he definitely would have been more ambitious.
Yeah, because he didn't have a kill switch built into him at that point. Palpatine built him to
Palpatine.
Absolutely would have. Oh my God, no. Okay, so all right, let's build this. So clearly he doesn't get maimed on Mustafar. Does he beat Obi-Wan, or does it end in a stalemate? Do they go their separate ways? Does Padme give birth without Anakin in the room? Because like I said, if Anakin's there for birthing and he's still within the dark side, those kids are servants of the Emperor.
Ooh, that's okay. I haven't considered these because I wanted to sort of go the route of the 2005 Revenge of the Sith video game alternate ending.
All right, so here we go. Okay, cool. So he straight up murked Obi-Wan. He stabbed him in the, literally put his lightsaber through his back, through his chest, and kicked him into the lava river. Cool. Oh wow, are you going full bore? He kills Palpatine in the same moment? Too.
No, I'm not going. No.
Okay.
We're not going that. I mean, we could.
I think that's the part of the alternate ending in Revenge of the Sith that ruins it. I don't think Anakin would kill Obi-Wan and then kill Palpatine. I
remember you saying in an earlier episode.
Wait. Why wouldn't he?
I think he still has shit to learn from him. I think he's still loyal to him. He says we can overthrow the Emperor.
No. If Padme dies, even though Anakin became Vader, he's killing Palpatine.
If Padme still dies, let's say Padme, she dies while Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting. And then Palpatine comes and Mustafar is like, "Oh, Lord Vader, you defeated Obi-Wan Kenobi." And like he's like, "Oh, congratulations, my apprentice." Blah blah blah. And Padme's lying there dead. Anakin's going to cut him in half. But if Vader beats Obi-Wan on Mustafar, and Palpatine arrives, and they rush to get her somewhere where she can give birth, then I see Anakin's priority being we need to get Padme somewhere to save her. And then she gives birth to the babies.
Mm-hmm.
And what if she dies in childbirth?
If she dies in childbirth, Palpatine needs to get very far away from that hospital.
Exactly.
Very quickly.
Yes. Exactly. And she's
okay,
not
that
going to
context.
survive because she will not have the will to live. That is the canonical reason she dies. Dumb as it is.
Dumb as it is.
That is the canon reason Padme Amidala dies.
I hate it so much. I just,
And if Anakin is a Dark Lord of the Sith who killed Obi-Wan Kenobi, she is not going to have the will to live.
I've said this
So
before,
let's
and I'm
change
going
it
to
up.
say this
It's
again.
a stalemate.
I'm going to say this. I just need to say this again real quick. She is giving birth after passing out from being strangled, probably overheating on Mustafar, probably hit her head on the way down. There were 18 different reasons right there to say that she did not survive giving giving birth to children. The fact that we went with she lost the will to live will never stop being the dumbest shit in the prequels.
I know.
That will never not be the dummest thing in those movies.
I know. But that's...
I know. You could have just said
it's the
like
reason.
her body can't handle it. Like she can't like Anakin broke her windpipe. She can barely breathe as it is. There's so many explanations that do not involve fuck it. Anyway. I'm sorry. I feel the need to address that every time it comes up because it's so goddamn
that's fair.
stupid.
Yeah,
So-
it should be that Palpatine did tell the truth when he says, it appears in your anger you have killed her.
Yeah.
Instead of the medic droid going, oh, it would seem she lost the will to live.
Well, because even that, I'll even now that we've completely addressed the whole idea of the dyad and all the weird shit
Dyad.
Palpatine can do now apparently
word.
with weird force drain. Let's go with that stupid theory that Palpatine's force draining Padme from across the galaxy. How he knows that she's on Polis Massa and there's not an Imperial hit squad there to pick up the babies, whatever. But even introduce some bullshit where he's siphoning off her life force from across the galaxy and it's still all Palpatine's fault. Anyway, Connor, what were you about to say? I'm sorry.
No, I want to just change that up. No, it's so true. But I just wanted to say before I change up the game a tiny bit, I remember you specifically saying, I can't remember what the context of the episode was, but we did talk about the 2005 Revenge of the Sith alternate ending. And you did say, this isn't verbatim, but you said that if that were to happen and Anakin kills Palpatine, the Empire's just implodes because he won't know how to run it.
Oh my God, the Empire would collapse. The galaxy would just turn into utter anarchy. Nothing would be awful. The only outcome worse than the bad guys winning is the bad guys winning and then losing immediately after they won. It would just be pure chaos.
You don't think anyone would step up?
I think anybody who
I don't
tried,
think anyone would want to.
I think the galaxy turns into a feudal wasteland.
Mm.
I don't
know.
I don't think that there aren't enough Jedi to try to fix things anymore. The Republic has been fractured to the point where you have people who are 100% on board with what Palpatine wanted to do, and then you have people like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma who all wanted to be no, this is not how we run things. It would turn into all this feuding without any central powers involved. Who the hell becomes the new emperor? Maz Ameda? Anakin? What the shit happens then? Yeah, let's say Anakin takes the throne. Let's say Anakin takes the throne.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine a version of Anakin that has not been humbled by becoming Vader. Like, Vader. And like turn into an actual leader who's capable of ruling the galaxy. This version of Anakin is he's just going to want to fight the remaining Jedi. And I like literally what credentials does Maz Ameda have? I don't. The galaxy.
He
It's a
started
feudal.
with Palpatine at some point. That's about it.
Yeah, he's like basically the speaker.
Yeah, I don't see anybody being able to keep the galaxy under control the way Palpatine did because everybody like believed his lie. Like he was just this charismatic savior of the galaxy. Nobody. Yep. I don't think anybody could have been able to save it. I think if Palpatine dies at the beginning of the Empire, all bets are off.
So, what if Obi-Wan survives the fight?
So there's no winner. There's just no winner.
Yeah, it's a stalemate.
Somehow. Okay. Let's say the ending stays the same. It's a stalemate, but Obi-Wan gets back to Padme. They get the hell off the planet, and Anakin's kind of left in the dust, but not extra crispy. Okay.
Extra.
I think again. I think
medium rare.
I think the only thing that changes is that Vader now has the opportunity to become a Force god. I think the whole we need to get them the hell out of here. That and like Padme gets to become a leader in the rebellion, and that I think Padme would have to go underground. I think between Anakin and Sidious searching for Vader and Sidious searching for her, you're looking at a situation where she has to stay underground. Padme might even become a fulcrum. Like she might even take up that code name. I think that would be an interesting little bit of.
I think she totally would too. That's the best part.
I think that's an interesting bit of sauce you can put on this story is that she's the fulcrum between Saw Gerrera and Cassian Andor, or Saw and Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka's joining of the rebellion is hastened. I think if Ahsoka goes, yeah, Padme's around, she'd be more inclined to join the rebellion. I think the initiative to keep Luke and Leia hidden, I think that becomes more important because you can't hide behind Vader's grief. I think he wants to reunite his family at any cost, be it because love for Padme, at this point, completely twisted into something very ugly and not resembling actual love at all anymore. But just the desire to have her back, or at the very least have her under control, mixed with knowing that that kid, because again, they didn't know it was twins. The assumption is going to be there's one kid, which at that point, the Rebels and Obi-Wan and Yoda still have a leg up on the Empire, I think, because to their knowledge, Padme gave birth to one child. Or, I take it back. No, none of that. They still say Padme died. If she goes underground, they say she died. That way, there's no keeping track of the kids at all. I still think Luke is sent into hiding on Tatooine. I still think Leia is sent with the Organas. And I think things happen roughly the same. The only issue becomes finding out a way to defeat Vader.
This sounds like the Sonic Underground. That one Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon series where they sing. Like he actually has two siblings, Sonic.
Please
Yes, the green one, which is Manic, who looks like a fanfic OC, but is actual real. And then the Amy, who isn't Amy, it's Sonic's sister, and they form a band. But they're part of the Sonic Underground as well. And they're trying to search for their mother. She had to go into hiding because Robotnik took over.
I'm glad I accidentally turned this into a Star Wars Sonic AU, Levi. I'm glad that's what this turned into. I'm not sure, honestly, Connor. People watching and listening, please inform us what you. I got nothing on this one. I think maybe if they go, I don't know. I think that this stays roughly the same. I think maybe the Empire or the Rebellion. I think the Rebellion has Padme on their side, but like once the events of Rebels happen, like I don't think Ahsoka even gets a chance to survive. I think Vader at that point's too strong and too powerful for her to make it out. So I think Ahsoka actually dies on Malachor
Fast.
slowly.
Yeah.
Because it's Vader.
She can still get pulled out then.
No, I don't think she would have a chance. I really don't know, because of Vader's physical, mental, and psychological limitations with the suit. There's a lot held. He's really nerfed a lot.
Again,
Honestly.
and another versus thing that's coming up here. There's 2 ways you beat Darth Vader. There's 2.5 ways you beat Darth Vader.
2.5.
There's you're faster than him. Not just faster, because most people are faster than him. You're a blur. And you can outmaneuver him. Somehow, you can overpower him. Good luck. 3,
They can't see your
2.5.
fingers.
Huh?
The people can't see your fingers.
Oh, 2.5 is both of those things combined to any degree, and you can use Force Lightning.
Yeah.
Which
Oh boy.
essentially is why Starkiller can beat Vader. Barely, still. Ahsoka is not fast enough to outmaneuver him. She is not strong enough to keep up with him, and no lightning. And that's the only way you can beat Vader in the suit. She's fast enough to keep Vader chasing her, and that is why she survives. Most people, when you go toe-to-toe with Darth Vader, if you live, you won. Ahsoka won that fight because she didn't die. I don't see her getting the chance to get around a Darth Vader who, again, has not lost most of his living tissue and has not therefore had his connection to the Force halved. So, because we're dealing with a Darth Vader who's still like truly rooted in the Force, is completely drunk on the dark side Kool-Aid, who is not, just incinerating people with Force lightning and, moving starships kind of shit. I don't see Ahsoka being able to compete with him. And now factor in that he the fact that he's a better swordsman than her, and that she traditionally does not perform well against power fighters, and he's still fast.
No, this doesn't look good.
She's gonna die. He's going to kill her before he's going to kill or capture her before any type of peer through the world between worlds and pull her out just in time happens. So yeah, I think the Rebellion, I think the good guys can still win by the end of the day. I think it's still possible, but it really, really, really relies on Luke being able to appeal to Anakin's humanity. But the Rebels have a far more dangerous version of Darth Vader on their hands, in my opinion. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys disagree. I don't know. But
No, I think that honestly, because I think Anakin Vader would be more ambitious, I can see the rebels barely, and I mean barely, winning the Galactic Civil War.
I think another part of that is based around like how badly Vader wants to overthrow Palpatine. Like, it's not made entirely clear what his motives are, especially in canon. Like, he finds out about Luke like right after the events of A New Hope, and he wants to overthrow the Emperor, not so much because he wants the power, but out of spite and anger. But like, when does he put that plan into effect? Does he? I don't see him. I think by the time he realizes he was lied to, like, keep that element the same. He finds out that Sidious lied to him about his children. And like, in your anger, you killed her. No, asshole, she's still alive. Maybe Palpatine goes for it, or maybe Vader goes for it and kills Palpatine. But, you know, at that point, like, who's to say the Empire doesn't turn against Vader for killing Sidious?
Ooh.
Like, and then at that point, maybe that's how the Empire loses. It starts to collapse on itself because Vader flew off the handle and tried to kill the Emperor, and now they lost their most powerful agent because he's being chased by the Empire now, and it destabilizes itself. Maybe that's how the rebels win. Which in some ways would be very poetic. Anakin fulfills the prophecy by accident again. I think that would be neat. So, Levi, you got any thoughts on this?
No.
Here? All right. Well, Connor, you got any more in the oven there?
Just two.
Okay.
They're quick. We'll see. I have one that I think you'll especially like, Jared. The first one I have is, what if Bardos wasn't targeted during Operation Cinder? And I hope you can see the implication I'm getting at here.
Yeah, Iden Versio and Inferno Squad stay with the Empire. Unfortunately, I think at best, Inferno Squad probably dies on Jakku. At worst, they die on Jakku. At best, they end up a part of the First Order and still probably end up biting it. Like, I think for people who are invested in Iden Versio and like that whole cadre of characters, I think that's a very interesting story as a what if for them. And just to see like a good dark side Imperial First Order story. But on the whole, like, I don't see a whole lot of the timeline shifting aside from what side of the war these characters die on. That's just me, though. And I don't think Spencer or Levi have played the Battlefront 2017 campaign, so I don't think. No.
What if Ben Quadranero stays in the race?
What if he wins?
What if Ben Quadranero wins the freaking pod race?
Ben Quadranero comes in first place, but Sebulba still doesn't finish.
Yeah.
So Qui-Gon still wins the bet because Sebulba didn't finish.
Nice.
Well, they still would have needed the prize money to get off Tatooine, though.
There still would have been prize money to come from second place.
But not enough, probably.
I think at that point they have enough to be like, they might be able to finagle something. Maybe Ben Quadranero would like throw him a couple bucks. If they told him.
I imagine Qui-Gon could just sell Anakin into slavery. Again,
oh my god.
And then just steal him.
Sell Anakin and then steal him.
Oh, man.
That is terrible, but also kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that's the kind of done with this shit attitude that Qui-Gon has.
I love the idea that Qui-Gon would do that. It's like, Anakin, you're not going to like this idea, but I'm going to sell you again. I need you to just go with it. Can my mom come, Mr. Qui-Gon? No. It's going to be hard enough to save your little ass. Anyway. What's the other one, Connor?
Oh no, I just want to add with the Operation Cinder one. I personally think that them being a part of the First Order of some sort could probably shift the tide between the First Order and the Resistance with their effectiveness. I don't know. I just get that sense that if they stayed with the Empire, went into the unknown regions, reformed into the First Order with all of them, didn't die in probably the many civil wars that happened in the unknown regions, came out stronger and became pretty much Inferno Squad on steroids with the First Order. I think the missions they probably could have undertaken might have shifted the tide. I don't know. This is playing with
here's
a lot of things.
Here's my main thing with that. I think that because the war between the Resistance and the First Order is a cold one up until the destruction of the Hosnian system, and then subsequently the Battle of Starkiller Base, I have a hard time believing that, like most of First Order High Command, apparently, Inferno Squad wouldn't have been on Starkiller. And their likelihood of making it off is kind of a coin toss. So by the time that like the First Order is doing like really big military ops to assert their dominance in the galaxy, like the likelihood of Inferno Squad not being space particles becomes a coin toss of whether or not they're actually serving is iffy. That's just me though.
Fair enough. So here's my second one.
All right.
What if Luke...
Oh, son of a bitch. We lost your audio there. What if Luke what? He still can't hear you.
They don't want... It's like this... It's like Stringer doesn't want to say this theory. What if Luke kills Ben?
Oh, no. Why'd you make... Boy, I don't want to talk about that.
What if Luke kills Ben? Accidentally?
No, like he full on goes through with it in the hut.
Ben Solo. Okay.
No, not Ben Kenobi.
Oh, okay.
Oh no. This is really horrible. I don't like that I have to say this.
He'd kill himself. Probably.
Well, if Luke goes through with it at that point, he must think it's justified. I think what this causes is a massive schism in the family. I think obviously Han and Leia, if they don't try to kill Luke, they never see him again. And the justification of something dark side, something Luke or Ben's brain, is the only thing that may or may not save his life. Is that they all went, oh great, new Vader.
And Palpatine might say that too.
Well, new Vader with like they went, oh, I guess Ben was going to become the new Vader, so what you did was kind of justified, but that's still our kid. Fuck you.
Oh no. No, that's not what I meant.
I think at the end of the day, what we end up with is a power vacuum where Snoke / Palpatine seeks out a different apprentice, seeks out a new Force wielder to kind of be the big dog, deadly agent of the First Order. Maybe the search to find the child of Palpatine's failed clone happens again, and maybe they start trying to find Rey again. Maybe they do. But I think at the end of the day, you just remove Kylo Ren from the equation. And Luke still ends up not wanting to have anything to do with the galaxy. I think Leia and Han give less of a shit about the quest to find Luke, because in their opinion, he should be in hiding. That's me, though. Anybody else weigh in? Because this is really depressing, and I don't like that, Connor. Don't ever do that
That's
again.
I felt like a jerk for writing it, and I'm like, I don't want to ask this, but I kind of do.
Spencer, you got anything for this one?
Not really. I mean, I think Jared, what you said was probably that's probably what would end up happening. And thinking about it too much, it makes me sad. Yeah. So.
I think my only other really stupidly funny what if is what if the Force was never discovered, and I think that's a pretty simple answer.
And then we'd have
We
a
just
good
wouldn't have
story.
Star Wars.
Shut your filthy mouth.
We'd have a good story with no convenient plot devices.
I kind of
No
disagree with
Deus
that.
Ex Machinas. No sloppy writing that can be defended with, it's the Force.
Listen, there are some franchises that have magic systems that become a little bit messy, and the Force is no different.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens sometimes. You can't take the magic out of Harry
and I
Potter.
can criticize those others, but not Star Wars.
No, you can absolutely criticize Star Wars. I'm just saying I think removing the Force from it, you lose Star Wars. I think it becomes infinitely
Star
less
Wars
interesting. Is what
I
I'm
did-
saying.
yeah.
To remove the Force, criticize it. There's a lot of instances where there's like something Force, blah, and you just got to pretend to go along with it, and it makes no sense, or it doesn't work, and that's fine. I think to remove the Force from Star Wars, you fundamentally make Star Wars not the franchise that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
For the worse, in my opinion.
same.
Connor, you got any more before I go?
Nope. I
All
mean, I
right.
do, but I'm not. I'm not spending all day with these.
Like I said, I want to do a
I
part
got a
2 to this
Super
at
Bowl
some
to
point.
watch.
We could do a part 2 of these at some point. So I do want to talk about up top, and we kind of beat around the bush of it, the what if Qui-Gon lives. Now, is
Just
there
watch
any...
Star Wars Gallery.
Watch the Star Wars Gallery, but I think there's a lot more interesting stuff to be mined from it just other than...
How old is Qui-Gon?
I want to say roughly 57. That's like a very specific number that I
He
think is right.
looks freaking terrible for his age. He looks so bad for 50.
I might be wrong. He might be in his 60s. I don't remember. I don't know why that's
He's
very
going to
specific.
die of cancer if he survives episode
52.
1.
He's
52, my ass. He does not look 52 in The Phantom Menace at all.
Okay. I think that aside from like the macro of Anakin won't turn, I think that Qui-Gon's involvement in the Clone War is a fun prospect. I think that there's a very fun rivalry between him and Dooku that you can mine for a lot of fun content. I think that there's just a lot there. I would want so badly to see the version of the Clone War that features Qui-Gon Jinn. I want to see what the Jedi Council ends up looking like. Because I think there will come a point between the death of a Jedi during the Battle of Geonosis or the war in general that it is no longer a matter of, hey, Qui-Gon, you want to join the Special Jedi Club? I think we go past the point of it being pageantry for Qui-Gon to be on the council, that his voice and presence is needed there. So I would love to see what happens to the Jedi on a philosophical level once they have somebody like Qui-Gon as one of its thought leaders. So I think that would be really cool. I thought you were pulling something up to like trap card. I thought that's why you picked up your phone and I got so like ready for you to be like, and this is why the Force is bad. Anyway, that's what I was like completely.
Well, I just have to
preparing
pull up
for.
the movies for that. Look. Is that a 52-year-old man?
I mean, listen, Qui-Gon Jinn can do no wrong in my opinion. So like,
It's Liam
sure,
Neeson.
yeah,
Yep.
I think he's. Yeah, I could buy 52.
Oh, no.
You got to figure, like, at the time, of, like, the Phantom Menace, Mace Windu is also, like, in his 40s or 50s.
Mace Windu doesn't look
Well, plaque don't crack.
like that.
But, I mean, whatever. I think Qui-Gon would, like, it's kind of, like, assumed that, like, most Jedi have obnoxious lifespans because of the Force.
Yeah.
So I do think Qui-Gon would not natural causes his way out of the war.
Okay. Well, it's kind of what happened canonically, though. Body couldn't keep up.
I don't think he would
Jared,
be
I
on the
think-
battlefront that much, though.
Mm.
I also don't see him being in like a dedicated power fight with an acrobat as often. Like I was like, he's fine in like like group engagements. Like he doesn't run out of steam when they're like plowing through, like squad after squad of battle droids.
Yeah, but like even Yoda is on the battlefield.
I think Qui-Gon would be somebody they wanted to keep on Coruscant for the relations between the Jedi and the Galactic Senate.
And not
And
the
I think
Grand
he'd be fine
Master.
with that.
I mean, Yoda's back and forth. Same with
Right.
Mace. They don't
Yeah.
spend all. I do think Qui-Gon would spend time on the battlefield.
Yeah,
But, like,
and
for the
how
most
long
part-
is he gonna live on the battlefield?
I don't think Qui-Gon would fall in battle. I really don't. I think he's fine like going toe to toe with, hordes of battle droids. You see him do just fine during the Naboo crisis. I think
But it's a very small galaxy. When does he come across Dooku? When does he come across Ventress? Because every fucking Jedi comes across Ventress or Dooku. Except like Master Dai, who like he's an
who
idiot.
lives up to his name. I don't know. I don't think Dooku would want to kill Qui-Gon quite yet. I think there would be a lot of like, let's try to turn him. I don't think Dooku would want to kill Qui-Gon. I think that Ventress being Ventress, there's a sloppiness to her that Qui-Gon can compete with.
Oh, here's a question.
That like again, like if Ahsoka can handle Ventress, I think Qui-Gon can.
Ahsoka's power level fluctuates by convenience. In the Clone Wars?
Here and there. I'd say it's more that her opponents have a fluctuating power scaling.
Little 12-year-old escapes Grievous.
She's 14.
Little 14-year-old escapes Grievous.
Yeah.
Well, Grievous was also like put on his ass by some Gungans, so anything's possible.
Yeah, Jedi killer.
Captain Tarpulse kind of.
Well, he
the goat.
listen.
Went hard in the paint with Grievous.
Grievous is a Jedi killer. He's not a Gungan killer.
He's a killer.
Do you have any idea
Okay,
how much you
okay,
would crucify me for that logic, Levi? Do you have any idea?
Yeah.
Like, you would
Okay.
just straight up punch me in the face on camera if I said something like that to you.
So,
That-
so Jared,
you would end me live in color. Like,
Here's a question. So, if Qui-Gon survives, it's safe to assume he becomes Anakin's master.
absolutely, he
Yes.
trains Anakin.
Because, like, just
Yeah.
a newly knighted Jedi doesn't typically become a master of someone. Is that...
Yeah, I think
general
especially
rule.
somebody. General rule, I also think that because it's like, oh, this
especially
kid
a
might be.
failure of a Jedi, such as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean,
We'll let that slide this time.
I know what you're getting at with like the legends, like Obi-Wan was. Like,
Oh, they
almost-
changed that. They changed that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We don't know much about Obi-Wan's youth quite yet.
Okay.
But there is still kind of implications that he was kind of the runt of the litter with his
Right.
class of younglings, but not
So
to that
that
degree.
means Qui-Gon is on Geonosis instead of Obi-Wan in episode 2.
Not necessarily. I mean, again,
Could be
there-
all three.
Could be all three. So does Dooku try harder then to like let them in on what's going on because Qui-Gon's there?
does Dooku just tell them what's going on
Yeah,
louder?
Dooku just straight up. I'm gonna be real with you. we're making you see up in that sky. You see a moon, right? All right. Think it can shoot down and blow us up. That's what we're making. Right? He can just explain that.
He just explains all of it. Like instead of just saying the Sith are in control of the Senate, he'd just be like, "Okay,
You
Palpatine."
put Palpatine, yeah.
Right.
He just say it. Just no beating around the bush whatsoever. I don't know.
Because then he can use that to his advantage and keep the civil. I guess it's not a civil war, even though it should be a civil war.
Right? Isn't it? That occurred to me a couple years ago. That technically the Clone Wars is a civil. It's like our Civil War.
Yeah, it's like the U.S. Civil War. Because he can use the death of Palpatine to keep power with the CIS.
I think for an interesting narrative, I think you still send Obi-Wan to Geonosis and keep Qui-Gon a part of the Jedi delegation that is dealing with the whole we're trying to build an army. And even though it's like, yes, like, okay, the Grandmaster's on the battlefront, so why is just a normal council member there? I think with Qui-Gon and how familiar he is with almost everybody on the council and how well they all know each other, I think there might be a part of the council that goes, we can keep him here. Like, you don't need to, like we trust you enough, even though, like, you're Qui-Gon, you kind of do your own thing. Like, we know you're going to do, like, the most light side thing that you can do if we just leave you here. So I think that, like, trying to avoid there becoming a militarization of the Jedi and the Republic as a whole, maybe the Jedi would be like, no, we need, like, Qui-Gon needs to stay here for this. And the Jedi might involve themselves in that. Because, like, we see Mace and Yoda, like, poking their heads in and out of the Senate while this shit's going on. And Mace telling Palpatine, like, we're keepers of the peace, not soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not here to fight a war. And yeah,
Nice fucking would do.
Mace is one of my favorite Jedi, but I love to shit on him all the time.
Yeah.
Like
I love that he's written for us to hate him. That's what I love.
yeah,
Where?
But to go back to one of your points, Jared, with Qui-Gon, I think if Qui-Gon were alive during the prequels and during the Clone Wars, I think while I don't think he would have gotten to the entire council and by extension probably the entire Jedi Order in terms of this is how the Jedi should be spiritually, I think he would have gotten to like a good amount of them to the point where the Jedi aren't as spiritually bankrupt as they are at the end of episode 3.
which might go a long way. But I do think Qui-Gon would be more involved with that conversation. I think the macro of the what if Qui-Gon lives ends with the very obvious. Anakin, he's the one who trains Anakin. Anakin is in better control of his emotions. He has a father figure who he can trust with his feelings about the dark side and how he's feeling and about Padme. And the end result is he doesn't turn to the dark side.
Does he still bang Padme?
He is absolutely railing Padme. That part does not change. In fact, he might even do it better. I don't.
But does he invite Qui-Gon to join in?
I don't think they are doing a space
there
Eiffel Tower with Padme.
Is their understanding that close?
No.
Does Force age longevity also mean that Qui-Gon can get it up at his age?
I think the most interesting part about, about the idea
Answer
of
my
Qui-Gon
question.
surviving. I'm not answering your question, Levi, and you're not in the stream, so you can't just hang up this time.
Who is Qui-Gon affaring with? He seems like the kind of person who would do that.
Funny enough, he actually calls out Rael Avaros for having a one-night stand in Master and Apprentice.
Oh yeah, you said that, and Rail's like, well, if
Hey,
I
they
don't
said
give a
no
hell,
attachments.
if I don't care about her, I mean,
What's your name again, sweetheart? But that's all that scene was missing
Yeah.
from Rael. But I just realized the irony that's the Jedi who fucks is named Rael. Oh, that's so good. Claudia Gray, you deserve a Peabody. Anyway, but I obviously like that's the end result. I think it's that the Qui-Gon surviving outcome is also really interesting because of like the minutia of Star Wars and all the places Qui-Gon gets to be leading up to that. Again, like his place on the council, the role he plays in the war, I think also make it way more interesting. But that's just me. Also, one little quickie what if that I've talked about before, but I need to reiterate. The marketability of a story post the rise of Skywalker about Ben Solo cleaning up the mess of Kylo Ren is right there, Disney. That's free money. The Rise of Kylo Ren is one of the best-selling comic books of 2019. A story about him like helping hunt down the First Order remnant and put a bow on all of that would have been perfect. Him helping Rey establish a new Jedi Order, Finn's training, all right there. You get to have a lot of cool interplay between Finn and Ben, having to kind of reconcile some ugly differences they have had. Namely, a difference that is shaped like a giant scar that's on Finn's back.
adds character.
Huh?
It adds character.
The scar definitely adds character, but I also think it makes for a very interesting dynamic between Finn and Ben. I think Finn learning to be a Jedi and learning to give up emotions of like hatred and anger and a desire for revenge. I love that Spencer is just straight up on camera, just getting loose, getting
frisky.
This episode lasted a lot longer than I expected. And
Me
I'm getting
too.
A little stiff in
sorry.
in my school issued desk chair.
Yeah, we're sitting on metal porch
Shake it
chairs,
out.
so I feel. We'll be wrapping up here in
You
a
have
second.
a backrest.
Huh?
You have a backrest, though.
You do too.
I don't.
There's a back to the
You have a
chair.
pillow.
I'm not even like leaning up against the pillow.
I'll give it to me then.
Okay,
What the hell?
take it.
Hour and 40 minutes. I'm not even using the pillow.
I think that kind of story would be really fun to see. I think seeing Finn learn to like having to learn
There we go.
that like Jedi style forgiveness and peace and serenity via learning to forgive Ben, and Ben having to face up to what he did to him as Kylo Ren. I think there's a lot there to really mine aside from the Reylo stuff. Like just Ben and Finn, I think would be really fun to see develop together. But yeah, I think that's all we got for this.
What if Saw Gerrera doesn't turn into like a Fallout 4 Frederick Douglass looking terrorist?
For Frederick Douglass. Oh my
I
god.
think he still has the militant beliefs, just he's more. It's basically another Vader as human situation. He's still the same philosophically, but physically he can kick so much more ass.
Yeah,
Yeah, like if he doesn't break away from the rebellion.
I think he still would.
I think if the rebellion finds a way, if the rebellion finds space for somebody like Saw, as unfortunate as it is to say, I think a more violent, bloodthirsty rebellion is a more effective one. I think that version of the Rebel Alliance that's like, yeah, we're just going to carpet bomb Corellia because there's a shipyard there. Gets a little bit more done. It makes the Empire a little bit more cagey about facing them down directly. But I like Connor said, I don't think there's a version of Saw Gerrera. Like, unless you go all the way back to the Clone War and undo some of that, I don't think there's a version of Saw that isn't a radical.
It changes everything. If she doesn't die, Saw's entire character, I think, is changed.
I think
Oh,
you're
and then
right.
she becomes like a senator's wife. Because Lux was hitting that.
Oh, Jesus, Levi.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, but the way you said it.
A marriage connecting Onderon and that other planet. No! Onderon is his planet!
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's still a pretty sweet love story, though. Like
It
the
is,
senator
it
and
is.
the freedom fighter. But yeah. All that said, thank you for tuning in for our Star Wars Podcast Day special episode.
I'm not going to say it.
Don't.
I'm not going to say it.
Don't.
I'm not. I
Levi,
was gonna, but I'm not.
where can the lovely people find you?
Twitter at Levi_bomb. Bomb.
Bomb. Connor, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
They can find me on Twitter at DepaBanana. They can find me on Instagram at ConmanJFO. And they can find me admin in the Alliance of Star Wars Fanatics, a group that really we just want to talk Star Wars positively, respectfully, and in a constructive light. Because let's be real, as you all know listening, this fandom is very driven generally towards hate and negativity. And we just want to be a beacon of light, like Qui-Gon tries to be with the Jedi Council.
Indeed. Spencer, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
The lovely people can find me on Instagram at SpenceMan Cosplay and on Twitter at SpenceMan49. Jared,
Yes.
where can the lovely people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, Zach Canals, and Kason Breon. You guys help
We
us.
love you.
We do. You guys help us make the content that we love to produce. If you guys want to check out our Patreon, also take a look at the $5 tier where you can hold on.
Where you can access some stuff.
You can access some stuff. I'm not trying to decide
what's the
whether or not
stuff?
I should kill
Keep
Spencer's feed. Okay, we're just gonna keep going. You can watch the Versus series that Spencer and I host for the Patreon. I don't know why this is so entertaining to me. For those of you listening to the podcast version and not the video version, Spencer's just straight up having a conversation with one of his roommates, and it's hilarious. You follow our Star Wars Versus series, which is released at the beginning of the month. Every month, February's was Rey Skywalker versus Barra Sophie. March is going to be Kyle Katarn versus Darth Malgus. Why the chuckle?
Fully trained Kyle Katarn versus Darth Malgus.
And fully trained Darth Malgus.
Yes.
That is a very
No,
fair
because
fight.
when you first told me, I thought of like Galactic Civil War era
like Dark
Kyle
Forces.
Katarn.
Oh, hey, this is a lightsaber, I guess, Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys can also check out our comic book show we do, Heroic History 101, where Travis and I do comic book reviews of older stories for Black History Month, and to tie into Falcon and the Winter Soldier in March, we're going to be covering some of the Sam Wilson Captain America stories. And you can get the audio commentaries that tie in to Nerd Academy Movie Club on the $5 tier as well. For Black History Month, we're going to be doing Ryan Coogler movies. So very excited for all of that. If you would like to support the Nerd Academy podcast even further, you can check out the student store link on our website. We can get all manner of Nerd Academy podcast goodies. We got that pillow I was so selfishly keeping from Levi. We got phone cases, stickers, shirts, hoodies, masks, all of it. You name it, especially the pillow. Keep buying pillows. That's what I'm going to say. Get your Nerd Academy pillow. That way, you're sleeping on us without sleeping on us. Hey, I made that joke before, and it still sucked then. Anyway, be sure to check all of that out. Check out the other Star Wars Podcast Day entries today, and be sure to check out the Movie Trivia Force Down, where I'm going to be competing against Eli from In a Galaxy. Spencer and I are going to be competing together in the teams division. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So be sure to check all that stuff out. Thank you all so much for listening. We are honored that you have joined us, and may the Force be with you always.